The miniature hobby is rife with instant and delayed gratification, small victories, and lots of busy work. But I think it's worth it. But it is important to manage your expectations so that you can get the most out of this big little hobby. The wargaming hobby is kind of different from others in that it takes a huge upfront time investment and money investment. It's a huge hurdle just to get an army, warband, or team built, then painted, then you have to learn all the rules, and then coordinate with your buddies or gaming club to actually get a game in. It's a magical experience wandering around the hobby store or perusing the listings from an online retailer, and that little high of adding to cart, that new shiny box coming home with you. It's full of bright colors and a picture of what the finished product will look like. But I think there are some pitfalls to look out for, and that is getting too much too quickly. When you're looking for what to buy, I would suggest staying away from full paint lines or big sets. These can seem like a no-brainer. Drop a huge lump sum, then you'll have all the paint you will ever need for the rest of your life. But that's not really true. Wargaming paints are sold to us in 17ml dropper bottles typically, and you're gonna use that up. And if you have a full paint range, but only paint ultramarines, how much are those oranges, purples, and greens doing for you? I think it's better to pick up what you need. That way you can learn your paints little by little and discover what colors are great and what colors you don't need to resupply. Every paint range has winners and losers, and without any experimentation, you might end up stuck with a lot of colors that you don't really like. And speaking of big boxes you maybe don't need, be wary of those big Games Workshop doubles boxes and army boxes. Games Workshop isn't the only culprit of this, and once in a long while they can be cool. But it's not at all unreasonable that a box of 40+ models could take you months and months to build and paint. And take a long, hard look at yourself and ask, will you be excited and engaged in all of those miniatures for the whole time? Are you ready for the long haul? Maybe. I'm not saying never. Once in a long while it might be okay, but usually trickling purchases out is the better, safer way. I think the best use of those doubles boxes and starter sets is bringing in buddies. Maybe you know someone who is thinking about starting, or has been coming to game sessions but hasn't pulled the trigger yet. Going halvesies on a box can get them up and running, and you two are now in it together. You can motivate and get excited with each other and sharing discoveries and work in progress photos, and generally have something that you both can be invested in. I don't think one person should buy these doubles boxes. Let's be brutally honest, it takes a long time to paint models. Let's break it down mathematically. It takes about 30 minutes to build a model if you're quick, and 3 hours is a quick paint job. And those numbers are generous. I can hear the comments now. Jay, it does not take that long to paint a mini. Really? Really now? It takes time. It takes time to get all of your supplies together, clip everything off the sprue, find that left arm that fell under the desk, rub some sand and glue onto the base, let it dry, go outside and prime it or set up the airbrush, find your hobby knife, remember what colors you were using, find that YouTube video you wanted to watch and that Spotify playlist to jam out to. 3.5 hours for a model start to finish is honest. If a box has 40 models in it, that is 140 hours of hobby. And if you can paint for 4 hours a week and go hard on the weekends for 8 hours, that's a little over 11 weeks of painting. That's almost 3 months putting 12 hours into your hobby a week. This stuff takes time. So now that I've scared you off, let me rope you back in. It's really fun. Miniature war games have a satisfaction I don't think video games can match. Sure, video games are incredibly fun, but that fun stops when the computer is turned off. But minis last after the dice have stopped rolling. You can sit around admiring them or do what I do and push them around the desk making pew pew noises. I know you do it too, don't lie to me. Also, the incredible satisfaction of finishing a mini, it's a rush. Putting down the paintbrush and seeing what was once a pile of parts now an epic warrior or fearsome vehicle, it's a special thing. And you know what else is a special thing? That's right, our merch. This super comfy futuristic space soldier sweatshirt. Find it linked in the description below. So how do we do it? How do we balance all the energy and time it takes? Well, I have some ideas. First, I think it is 100% okay to play with gray models. I think your goal should always be to have your models finished, but let's be reasonable. It's fine to skip straight to the good stuff. I know the arguments against it. It looks nicer to have painted models, but if you have to wait forever before giving the game a try, you might lose your momentum and never actually get to the gaming. And there is an argument that if you start playing with gray models, you will lose the incentive to ever finish them. But I think that is a false worry. I think it's much more likely gaming with your minis will get you more excited to paint them. You are actively using and enjoying your miniatures. Painting is an excuse to take that fun, gaming energy home with you, and while you're sitting there painting, you can think about all of the awesome things your models did, and daydream about what they will manage to pull off in the next game. I think gaming with gray will increase your desire to paint, not decrease it. But speaking of playing with unpainted minis, I also think it's okay to play with work in progress minis. This really should be encouraged more. It takes a long time to finish a mini, yes, but it doesn't take that long to prime, maybe throw on a base coat. Get some games in, then take them back to the desk and throw on some washes and highlights. Then game some more, back to the desk for some eyes and details, and then more gaming. Finally, you're applying decals and maybe a varnish, and now you are rocking up to your games with your magnum opus, a project weeks in the making, now finished. This can be a little tricky with sub-assemblies or painting off the base, but really, I don't think sub-assemblies are all that worth it. If the brush can't reach it, your eyes probably can't either. Probably fine to just leave that alone. And finally, a model can be done even if it is not everything you wanted it to be. If you are late into the process and you fall out of love with your scheme or your style, you don't have to throw it in a box and try again. Painting is an additive process, just try and finish them the best you can, and then you can come back to them later. Sometimes a little time away from the model can bring new ideas, and you can find that you actually do like the scheme or how it looks. As you develop and try new things, you might find that the armor and weapons that were stressing you out now don't look as challenging, and you can come back and add some paint and then revitalize your love for those minis. Don't just leave projects half finished and move on. Stick it out, then circle back. You will be happy that you did. If you like the videos we make and you want one more a week, we have that over on our Patreon. We also have tons of wargaming terrain STLs and weekly Discord hangouts. If that sounds interesting, you can find it linked in the description below. Be reasonable, be kind to yourself, and have fun. It's not a job, it's a hobby. It's okay to take little breaks.